Hey, what's up everyone? Thank you for joining me for another video discussion here at Retro Geek Gaming, where we talk about stuff that's retro, geek, and of course gaming related. Thank you for joining me for this video. Today, we're just going to try to keep it real short and sweet. We're going to talk about the PlayStation VR headset number 2. It's coming out in February. It's just announced by Sony. We have different outlets talking about it. And I wanted to throw my 2 cents out there because it's a little bit of a disappointment for me. And what I mean by that is it's $550. Now, there's a lot of technology in this, and I get it because even with the newer headsets, like the latest MetaQuest that came out, the MetaQuest Pro, I think it's like a $1,500 headset. So I understand that compared to other VR headsets, it's a steal. It's basically $1,000 less, maybe even $500 less. But there's still some options out there, like the MetaQuest 2, I think it is. That's like $300 if I remember correctly. So, but you don't get as much technology in there. So that's the reason why I'm only trying to look at it as like, okay, yes, for the amount of technology that you get in there, it's worth it. Because like again, there's eye tracking technology, there's haptic feedback up in the forehead sensor, there's haptic feedback sensors in the actual motion sense controllers, and all that. A lot of good technology. So I'm trying to stay positive about it, but I just got to throw the negatives out there, and I do apologize for that. So feel free to leave your thoughts about this down in the comments below. But it seems to me like it's $550, so it's more than the cost of the PlayStation 5. Okay? Yes, you get the 2 motion sense controllers with it, whatever they're calling it. You're getting the headset, and it all goes through the wire. What would make this worth it for me is if there was a way to make it work on its own. If it could work on its own, it's like, hey, this thing is a portable or semi-portable, I should say, PlayStation 5, or at least a little bit down, like a PS4 and a half. I think that would be worth it. Because like with the MetaQuest, you can use it by itself. You get the wire. You can buy the wire to hook it into a PC and make it process stuff faster. But you can still use it by itself if you don't want to. So for somebody who does, I assume this is going to go for, PlayStation VR enthusiasts like myself that really want to play it. But if you're the person that, like, you're getting into the PSVR2 for the first time, you have to buy a PlayStation 5 and a PlayStation VR2. So that's over $1,000. So, that's a negative right there. It's more than the cost of the PlayStation 5 console, which is probably understandable because, again, you're going to be one or the other. You're going to be one of those people that's going to buy it, or you're going to be one of those people that, you already have a PlayStation 5 or you have an Xbox Series X and you're good. You don't need a VR headset. Just as an example of like, you might have a Switch, you have no interest in VR, so you're not going to buy it anyway, is what I'm basically trying to say. But I have to just look at it here, okay? I'm spending $550 to get PSVR2 games, which I'm sure, I had to actually look at them and see them, but I'm sure they look so much better than PlayStation VR 1 games. But I have to think about the fact of like, look, there's no backwards compatibility with this, right? No backwards compatibility and no included charger, which means you probably have to use the charging port of like your PlayStation, or some type of Type-C connection to charge each of them individually, like you used to have to do with the Move controller, or you have to buy a separate charger, like I had to do with the Move controllers, and that's $50. So if you go off and you spend basically $600, you get the PSVR and you get the charging dock thing for the motion sense. So $550 for a PlayStation VR headset that doesn't include a charging dock and doesn't have backwards compatibility to the games, and outside of maybe 1 or 2 games, nothing really that interesting. Now, this might change. They might find a way to emulate the PSVR 1 games, because I would like that very much. I think that would be helpful, because for somebody like me that wants to go back and do the PSVR 1 games, I now either have to switch back and forth, connecting that silly dock for the PSVR 1, and then unhooking it and then running it, or I have to, use a PS4 in conjunction with a PS5 at the same time. It just seems a little bit silly. But I'm still looking forward to it. I just think that there's price shock right now. And I think that maybe a few months later, we might see a better adoption rate for it, because as we get to the summer, people are off from school. It's right around tax time, so it might be an easy purchase for some people. I might even get it because it's going to be around tax time. Have to wait and see, of course. And I'm going to go through it. I'm going to look at the list of games that are going to be coming out right around the time of release to see if there's anything that really, outside of Call of the Mountain, is really going to like make me want to play it. So only time will tell. But what do you guys think about this announcement about the PlayStation VR2 being $550? Do you think that's a bit much? Because I think that's a bit much. Like if it was $450 or even $500, I think it would be much better. Take us. I don't know how much of a loss they're taking on this thing being sold. Because again, I understand there was a lot of technology in there. It's kind of like it's kind of like the Switch Joy-Cons and how there's a lot of technology in there for $40. But again, if you look at it initially, it's like it's $550 and you still need a PlayStation 5 to use it. That's over $1,000 that you're basically spending just to get a VR setup. At that point, you might as well just buy the Meta Quest Pro, I guess. But again, I think you have to be more of a VR enthusiast to really want to get it. If you guys feel differently, of course, feel free to put your comments down below. Love to hear what you guys have to think about that price point. I do think it's a bit much, especially for right now. I think maybe in a year or so, maybe, we'll see. It's a lot to consider. It's a very steep asking price, especially when I think back to like the PS3 days when I think it was like $500-$600, and there was this whole shock over the cost of this console. So I still think that $500 is the sweet point and as high as we should ask for things. But then I see stuff like these phones, these computers, and even now these other virtual reality headsets that are going for over $1,000. So I can't help but think, yeah, that's a steal for that. Of course, feel free to leave a thumbs up and a like if you did enjoy this stuff, and feel free to subscribe to this channel as I try to bring you at least weekly content, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, depending upon what we have to talk about. I think we might be doing another podcast soon to talk about Kena or just the recent events, like with what we're talking about now with the PSVR2, but I'll keep you guys updated, and of course, I hope that you have a great rest of your week, guys, because if I don't hear from you, I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and feel free to come back. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.